going to be a spoiler-filled review for Mission Impossible, so if you don't want any spoilers for that, then get out of here. Go away. I'm not messing around. I'm going to get into the spoilers right away. Okay, so now that all those people are gone, let's talk about this movie. This movie sucked. Seriously, I have never been so disappointed in a movie. The Last Jedi, the live-action Mulan, those do not compare to just the sheer horror I felt when the credits started rolling for this movie and I realized that was it. That's what they decided to do. That was real. What is reality? I was really hoping to make a more positive video this time. I don't want my channel to be super negative, and I felt like my last couple of videos have been, somewhat negative. So I was thinking, I'm going to review Mission Impossible for my next video, and that is for sure going to be a very fun, positive review. I was so sure of it, but it turns out this movie was the worst. However, even though I am super crushed by this movie, I'm going to try to make this a more upbeat, lighthearted video because I do want my channel to be a little bit more positive. So we're just gonna have fun with this one. Oh hey, it's me, Editor Kate, and I just came to say that I did not keep it upbeat and positive for this review. I thought I was gonna try, but I really didn't. So that's my bad. Sorry about that. Alright, so let's get into this train wreck. But first, before I really pick apart the plot of this movie, I just want to go over the positives. So let's do that. First positive, the stunts. The stunts were very good. I mean, obviously, it's a Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movie. They're gonna have amazing stunts. And they did. The stunts did not disappoint. Very fun action. They had this one submarine stunt, which was probably my favorite. If you're just a very casual moviegoer and you just want to watch Mission Impossible because you think it's gonna have fun action scenes and fun stunts, then you will really enjoy this because it does have those. Alright, positive thing number 2. I'm lying. There is no positive thing number 2. I have no idea what happened. Alright, time to get into the negatives. Let's do it. Okay, a lot of you may be thinking that the only reason I hate this movie so much was because, again, spoilers, Ilsa's actually dead. She was actually, that was her death. That's what they did. That was it. I really feel like they did set it up so that they could possibly have faked her death and she could have come back. I don't think I'm crazy, and I don't think everybody else that kind of thought she was alive was crazy. I really feel like they did set it up where if they wanted to bring her back, they could have. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on this and my analysis of this, I made a video about it. There were lots of things that just kind of pointed to her death not making any sense and there being a lot of behind the scenes things going on, and I feel like that's still true. They just threw that out the window and didn't want to follow up on that. Where am I going with this? A lot of you may be thinking that that's the only reason why I hated this movie so much was because Ilsa was dead and I didn't want that to happen. I so badly wish that was the only and the biggest problem with this movie, but there were so many other things that were wrong. And the thing is, I didn't think I had to worry about anything like this. This was nowhere near my radar. I was only concerned about if Ilsa was dead or not. I did not think that in a million years I would have to be concerned about the plot and the dialogue and the character interactions. I thought for sure that would be good, but it wasn't. Okay, but let's just focus on Ilsa right now, because that was a big problem. Negative number 1, Ilsa and also Grace. Ilsa and Grace was the first negative thing. In the 7th movie, so they kill off Ilsa, right? And then within that same movie, they're apparently also setting up her replacement right away. They're just gonna move on right away. When Grace was introduced, I thought she was just there to represent the unknown and also to be a new MI agent and to show us the process of someone being recruited to the IMF. That's what I thought she was, and I thought her relationship with Ethan would be mostly that of a mentor-student relationship, kind of like with Lindsay Ferris, because that's what made sense. It did not make sense that after 2 movies of trying to set Ilsa up as the love interest, and they were doing that, in the same movie that they wanted to kill her off, have Grace be there to be the new Ilsa. That That's very James Bond-like, isn't it? And this is not supposed to be James Bond. That's not what they were doing for 4 whole movies. It doesn't matter the reason why they decided to kill off Ilsa. It was a bad reason, and it was a worse decision to just replace her immediately.
Right away.
I've also talked about this in a previous video about how 007 and Mission Impossible are kind of opposites, and that was true until this 8th one came out. If you want to watch that video, here it is. I'm not gonna get into that, but they were opposites until this 8th one. I really dislike Grace, and I dislike that they just wrote her to be Ilsa. Watching the 8th movie, as I was watching her, I was like, this was supposed to be Ilsa. They just wrote Ilsa, made a few minor changes, and then cast Haley Atwell and just removed Rebecca Ferguson completely. And it was just so gross to see. If you are setting something up, and if you are promising the fans that you will deliver on something, you cannot just decide to throw that away and do something else. I tried to explain this to my brother because he really didn't seem to care if Ethan ended up with Grace or Ilsa, which I just think is so stupid. How can you not care about this? Okay, this is a silly analogy, but just hear me out. Let's say that for like 6 whole years, someone was promising you that they are going to make you like the greatest pizza ever. And they are developing this recipe and they're sending you screenshots and like information about the pizza that you're gonna get, and they're really hyping you up for this pizza, and you're just so excited to get this amazing pizza. And then the day that they're gonna give it to you, they're like, oh yeah, I decided not to do that, but here's a bowl of oatmeal. Enjoy. And so after years of promising you this pizza, you get oatmeal? That's what this is like. Grace is oatmeal. She is the worst, and I hate her, and I wanted the pizza, man. You said you were gonna give me that. Why didn't you give me that? This has happened so many times in TV shows and movies where they decide to set something up, set up a relationship, but then they never pay it off. They promise the audience for so long that they're gonna do something, and then they just decide, never mind. And then they try to gaslight you into thinking that never happened. They were never setting that up. What, Ilsa? Ilsa was a love interest? What are you talking about? No, they made her so unimportant in this 8th movie. It was shocking. It was so weird. Weird. And it doesn't really matter what relationship it is. I'm not just saying that this pertains only to romance. This should be applied to any relationship or anything that you are building up in a movie or TV show. You can't build it up, promise to your audience that you're going to do something or show something or give them something, and then just say, oh, what? No, we were never gonna do that. What are you talking about? Can you imagine if in the next Spider-Verse movie, they just pretended like Gwen and Miles was never a thing? Whew, wow, we made it. Took a while to figure out where Miles was, but we're here. Earth 42. Whew, okay, let's go find out where Miles is. Oh, there he is! Whoa, you guys found me. That's so great. Oh, it's great to see you, man. We gotta head back before Spot destroy... Wait, who's this? Oh, yeah, that's my girlfriend. Wait, girlfriend? But I thought that you and Gwen were like a thing. I thought that... Ew, what? Gwen and me and Gwen. He's like my little brother. But I thought that you guys had like that romantic moment on the tower. No, dude, that was just 2 good friends talking. That's all that it was. Peter, you're so silly. Okay, well, my bad, I guess. Yeah, it is your bad. It's not like we were building up to that in the previous 2 movies. Ha-ha! Oh no, it's Spot! Miles, we gotta take him down. He's trying to destroy your universe and destroy everything you love. What are you talking about? No, Miles, he's the villain. He's trying to... What? The villain? You thought he was the villain? Oh, dude, you thought I was the villain? That's crazy. What is going on? Dude, you're so dumb. You cannot do that. You can't set something up and then just try to gaslight your audience into thinking that was never a thing. Killing off Ilsa was really bad, but another bad thing that they did was removing the team interactions and all the teamwork that we love to see in these Mission Impossible movies. In every single Mission Impossible movie, up until this 8th one, the team has been a very important component of these movies. Luther and Benji have been like the 2, and also Ilsa have been like the main people on the team, and we'd love to see the teams working together, and we'd love to see their funny interactions with each other. Mission Impossible without the team is really lacking a lot of the charm and humor that makes Mission Impossible so great. And I thought that these people knew that.
We were unprepared, in the dark, disavowed. And the only thing that functioned properly on that mission was this team.
The team has always been an important part of the movies up until this 8th one. Ethan splits from the team like right away. He's just out of there. He's gone, and he makes Benji the new leader of the team, and they go off on their own to do their own little mission, and then Ethan goes off on his own to do his own little mission. This was something that they could have done. We still could have had these interactions with the team that really made Mission Impossible really fun. And instead, they split up, and Ethan's just on his own, and it just felt so wrong and so boring. And another big problem was they killed off Luther. So that wasn't great. And that was at the very beginning. And this was kind of a insult to injury on Ilsa's death. Luther's death, they made that very important. They made it a really important part of this movie. And that kind of just made it seem like Luther was super important, but Ilsa wasn't. This movie was one of those many instances where you just gotta ask, did they watch the previous movies? Did they watch their own movies? Do they know what they're supposed to be doing here? I don't know if they did, but they definitely didn't trust their audience to have watched the previous movies. And that brings me to the negative thing number 3. There were so many flashbacks in this movie. An amazing amount of flashbacks, and not flashbacks to new scenes. No, they showed flashbacks to like the same scene at least 3 times. They really wanted you to know that Ethan broke into the CIA. They really wanted you to not forget that. And so they showed it to you like 3 times. They showed a flashback for absolutely everything. The runtime of this movie is like 2 hours and 49 minutes, and I thought that that would give them enough time to explain everything that they needed to, but they didn't. Instead, they just padded the runtime with flashbacks. It was really bad. They kept flashing back to and explaining things that we already knew, and that leads me to the negative thing number 4, which is they did not explain anything that they had set up in the 7th movie. I was really excited for them to explain what the flashbacks of Gabriel were all about. In the 7th one, they show flashbacks of Gabriel. They introduced this new character that we had never heard of, Marie, and I was really expecting them to explain more about who Gabriel was and who Marie was and how Ethan came to be part of the IMF. They didn't explain anything. They really just wanted to do flashbacks to things we already knew and not explain things that we wanted to know. They didn't go anywhere with that. They didn't do any explanation. They didn't have him be like this cool rival to Ethan. He just was kind of a cartoony bad guy, and the way that they killed him off was so dumb, which is another problem in this movie. Negative number 5. This one was a bit more graphic than the other movies. I get that action is an important component of these movies. Obviously, we all want that. But they kind of did make it a bit more violent and graphic. And it just didn't really work. This felt very much like a James Bond and John Wick version of Mission Impossible rather than Mission Impossible. So the way that they kill off Gabriel is they kind of just turned it into a joke, a pretty graphic joke, pretty gruesome joke. He splits his head on an airplane. And that's his death. And I get that it was supposed to be very shocking and kind of like a funny, silly way, like, oh, didn't see that one coming. Ha ha ha. But it was also really stupid. Negative thing number 6. This was not a spy movie. This was solely just an action movie. All the espionage and the spying that they actually did in the previous movies, that was not a part of this movie at all. In every single movie until now, masks have been a key component of their plans. Stealing people's identities and sneaking around and gathering intel like that. But this one, no, it was just pure action. And like it was fun, but it wasn't a spy movie. And that doesn't make sense. This is supposed to be the spy franchise. How can you not do that? They had one mask scene at the very beginning, but it wasn't played in the same way that it usually is. They have this like really long scene where you think it's one character, and then at the very end they like do this huge reveal, and oh my goodness, it was Ethan Hunt the whole time. No, it was actually like very quick. It was like 2 seconds into the scene, then you realize that, oh, it was Ethan. And it wasn't quite as big a reveal, and it wasn't an important scene as it usually is. And it was at the very beginning as well, and that was the only time that they used masks or any kind of spy technology or espionage. Number 8. This was built up as the end. This was marketed as the final movie. Ethan Hunt's final mission. The final reckoning. Everything about this was built up to be the end. And guess how they ended it? Trick question! They didn't! They did not end it. No, this was not an ending. This was not Ethan Hunt's character ending. He didn't die. He didn't get a new position. He wasn't like the secretary of IMF. He is just doing the same old thing that he has been doing this entire time. Nothing is different. He has now just lost Ilsa and Luther. But, you know, I don't think he really cares about that. His character doesn't seem to care about that. Nice. On number 9, there was no dialogue in this movie. There were just lots of people staring at each other and making eyes at each other and giving signals with their eyes and ooh, like, ooh. But back to con number 8 of this not being the end. So they established that Ethan is alive. They did this terrible voiceover with Luther where they're like, Ethan, you're so amazing. At the very beginning of the movie, they did that too. They did this long little recording of the president talking about how amazing Ethan is, and they did all these flashbacks of Ethan Hunt's amazing missions and stunts and stuff. And at first I was like, yeah, that's fine. He's probably going to die or they're going to end his story or something. But they didn't. They didn't even end his story. This wasn't even the end. This was just Tom Cruise making a huge love note to Tom Cruise about how amazing he is and how great he is. And then he didn't even die at the end. We're going to make this the ending. And then they were like, what if we didn't? What if we told everybody this was the end? And then, surprise, it's not. Like, you can't do that. You lied to the audience. Twice they have lied to us. And not like in a fun way where like, oh, we tricked you because this is a spy movie and Ilsa's not dead. That would have been a good lie. That would have been nice. But no, it's like, oh, we tricked you and she's not actually the love interest. Haha, that you feel stupid now. I don't feel stupid. I feel betrayed.
This is a betrayal on levels that no one's ever seen!
So yeah, lots of terrible things in this movie. No team interactions. Lots of terrible flashbacks. It wasn't the end, even though they said it would be. Ilsa was dead. Grace was the worst. I hate her so much. Everything about this movie just sucked. And I am so done with Mission Impossible. I cannot believe I got so excited for this movie for it to be like this. It didn't have to be like this. They were doing so well until now. What happened? What did they do? I have no idea. So I'm back, and I just wanted to say that Christopher McQuarrie did an interview with The Wrap, and they released an article of this, and he was kind of explaining the decisions that he made, and he was saying that because Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning and The Final Reckoning were so far apart, he felt that it gave him permission to just kind of scrap everything in the first one and make this last one a standalone film. A standalone film? You're in a franchise. What do you mean standalone? And no, you did not get permission. They released 2 years apart. What do you mean that was long enough to get permission to just throw everything away? What is he talking about? He's ridiculous. Everything that he himself set up, he decided, no, I don't want to do that anymore. You have a responsibility as a story writer to follow up on the things that you set up. You cannot just say that was a year ago, I have permission now. The audience did not give you permission to just throw that all away. The audience knew that you had a responsibility to follow up on all of that. And you didn't. You failed, sir. Okay, but that's it. I think those are all the negatives about this movie. Those are all the cons that I can think of. Whoop-de-doo. And Ilsa's dead. I was wrong. I was very wrong about that, even though I really didn't have to be and I shouldn't have been. All of us that thought she was alive, guys, we were right. That's how it should have been. That would have been a great story, and instead we get an oatmeal story, and it's the worst, and nobody wants that. If you guys were just as disappointed in this movie as I was, I'm sorry, man. That's real rough. We are going through a rough time right now. Now what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to pretend like the 6th movie was the end. Well, that's it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts on this movie. Let me know if you thought it was great. If you were just there for the action and the stunts and you had a good time, I'm happy for you. If you, like me, were expecting a really good end to an amazing franchise and then you got that, and you were disappointed, let me know. Let me know your thoughts. That's all I have. Goodbye.